Find someone like ladies.
I get to eat.
Sweet.
No, don't find them. I'm taken.
Find someone like Mr. DJ. I'm gonna have to cut your name
Oh,
off
you have
so
to cut
many
my name
times on this. Well, what's going on, fam? Welcome to Eat My Assets, episode 7. And we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. DJ. Listen, that's
that's good. That works.
Jockey.
Yeah, Mr. DJ. I can't give away his DJ name because I'll give up too much. And then, of course, we're joined here by your second favorite, Ron's.
I'm just going to accept that I'm the second favorite now. It's okay.
This
Second's the best, actually. First is the worst.
I don't know if you saw, what was it, Talladega Nights?
Yeah, if you're not first,
or
you're last.
Yep.
No.
You gotta watch. She clearly hasn't seen the movie.
As a perennial second place finisher in my fantasy league, my friends will always tell me I'm the first loser.
Oh.
That's a pretty smart title.
Lost in the championship 4 times.
Oh, really?
So you know.
Do you win money though for second place, right?
You get your money back. I don't even care about the money, which is funny for a podcast all about assets and money. In this instance, it's the championship banner with my name stitched on it,
Yeah.
and I've just come up short many times.
Yeah, I've only won what's funny is I was with my other friends this week in Philadelphia, and what they do on a per week basis is if you have the lowest points, then on a Tuesday morning you have to chug a beer and do 10 push-ups and record it on camera.
Oh, I kind of love that, though. That's
They
hilarious.
have all the recordings. It was hilarious.
I love that. We do weekly payouts for the top score, but we don't do a weekly punishment.
Oh, weekly payouts. How much are you making
kinda
per
sick.
week on that?
I think we do a 200 buy-in, and I think the weekly payout is $50 a week. It's
Oh,
just
damn,
it's a good
really?
incentive for like if you're out of the offs, the playoffs, to like stay like engaged
First
in the
time I've heard of
league.
the offs.
I know. I
Yeah,
like
I
that,
don't
too.
know. That's probably not a thing. But it's a good incentive driver. I think I was the commissioner at the time when we instituted that. It's my
That's
claim.
why it was a great idea.
My claim to fame.
Really great idea, like Commissioner. But for everyone else, by the way, maybe starting off with understanding what you do and how much you make. Maybe let's start over there.
Sure, it's fun with me because I got a nice side hustle to go with what I normally do, which used to be my primary hustle. So we can get into the history of how it got there. But my main job, the day job, is an account executive. At my company, we call them new business directors. At other companies, it could be called a VP of sales. Just a fancy way of saying I'm an individual contributor. I'm an account executive in a tech SaaS startup company.
Did you say they also call them VP of sales?
Yeah, I'm a big.
I know. That was like
such a
subtle
different title.
flex a little bit.
I'm a big
too.
believer. Yeah, I mean, new business director sounds a lot fancier than account executive. I guess in my
Yeah.
previous role at this company, I was technically an AE, but it's just a delineation for where you operate in the company. But
Yeah.
I'm a big believer if you're in any sort of sales position to just gussy up that title and
Yeah.
make it sound as important as possible, so that when you're emailing a CRO or whoever it is and they see your signature, it looks impressive.
That's also
like,
a good point.
Who cares? There's really titles are just the thing there.
Yeah.
We're just closing business or solving problems.
Yeah. And so you're selling software. You work for a SaaS company.
Yep.
How much do you make? OT. Let's talk about for
Yeah.
everyone else that's on target earnings.
There you go.
Assuming that the company is hitting quota on a given quarter, and he's hitting his quota as well.
Yeah. That's the key. OTE is 200 to 220. It can fluctuate by how over target you go.
Damn, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
20K sounds like a large range, 200 to 220, but it'll depend because there's always kickers on if how your commission is structured. So.
And how does that work? What's your base versus commission?
About half of that.
Half of that.
Yeah, you're trying to double
50-50.
that. I could make more in commission than I would in my base.
That's pretty standard from what I've seen, even the AEs in my company today. Are you, is that usually what you see when you look out there in jobs? Is it usually 50-50 split of base salary and then commission?
Yeah, and one of the reasons I wouldn't be moving or anything like that right now is because if you're selling if you're selling a good product and you're fully ramped in that position and you begin exceeding your quotas, you're making it's more like 60-40. Like you're going to be exceeding where you're normally tracking. And one of the biggest considerations if you're, jumping different opportunities is that it's great to build, your portfolio and have like a little bit of equity in these places in case they pop off. It's like a lottery ticket as you're building that up. But one of the biggest considerations too is like, look, you're taking a new sales job. It's going to take you, 3 months to start like knowing the product and probably selling, 6 months to build the pipeline, 9 months to be like fully ramped or whatever it is. That entire time, like you might be making a higher base and taking that jump, but you're not going to be making compared to where you were if you were closing business and exceeding targets.
Yeah.
So you really got to be looking at what you're going to be selling and what other people are closing and what you think you can, because commission is really where it's at.
Wait, that's actually really good advice to other people as well, because I've seen on the other side too, when you're selling software and the software is not better than competition or not doing that great, you're losing out 50% of your paycheck, like he was talking about. But
Damn.
As far as like even what you did to get to your certain position, I see a lot of the time online, like people are amazed that tech sales can make a shit ton of money. Like even in other companies and dev tools, like Datadog, for instance, there's even some reps that are hitting 7 figures. The top reps there, right, when it comes to like selling developer tools. Basically, there's a lot of money in the space is what I'm getting at. But like how can one actually become an account executive, a new business director today? And like how did you get there?
Yeah, I mean, so on top of that, I have like my side hustle, which is DJing, which used to be my primary career. Like I have my own business. I book DJs. I book like private events and clubs and sporting events and weddings and all of that stuff.
So sick.
So I only I did that my entire life, like since I was like 17, and then
Out the womb.
Wow.
basically, and then like you start approaching 30, and you're like, well, I want to worry about like my health insurance and a 401k, which I did not have.
Yeah.
And you start getting a little bit older and prioritizing, and you're like, I need to figure out what I want to be doing and not put all my eggs in this one basket. Mind you, this is before a pandemic shut the world down. Like I am very, very lucky for these fork in the road moments in my life. And one of them was finding this job in sales. And I didn't just jump from like DJing Wednesday through Sunday and like not having like a day job. I started working part-time at a PR company. From there, realized I could still continue to DJ and follow this thing that I love and I care deeply about, but that I'm capable of more. And I thought that more would translate well into getting into this sales role. And I basically just started at the bottom. I was an SDR, so that's a sales development representative. Started at the lowest level possible. And I'm at 4 years now in like the actual sales experience of my life. Yeah. And I'm in this role. So
wow.
You can accelerate it. It's how bad it's how bad you work. It's elbow grease. It's like all those corny sayings.
But it pays off, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could make it happen pretty quickly if you perform. Yeah. But I've also always said this, that it's like a function of like where I was in my life and having like the right goals and mindset. If I was take this job, there's SDRs who are really successful who came out of college and crush and they're doing what I'm doing now, but they're way younger than me. If I was hired out of college, I would have been fired in 6 months. Like not like just promoted, it's just having that mindset and being ready to take it on.
Well, that's a big part of why we even do this show is like people just, it's not even just about financial transparency. It's people understanding how other people got to where they're at. Yeah. And the way you did it too, of course the age is a little bit different, but when it comes to even the friends that I have now that are AEs, they did the same exact career path. They grinded it out as an SDR, and then they became an AE, and then now they're making the money that like you're talking about right now. I have a ton of questions, but a couple that come up to mind here. That PR job that you first got, that was technically your first job outside of your previous career, because you switched career paths basicly. Yeah.
I was working in video game PR. I'm a dork.
Which is kind of cool.
I love that. I only like to work and do shit I like. Like the stuff I sell.
Yeah. Thank you, because it's so true. You should be just doing the stuff that you like.
Well, here's the theory behind it. Not to derail your question, and you're gonna have a very hard job keeping me on task. It is, but if you're doing shit that you like, you're gonna just have more fun doing it. You're not gonna feel like you're going against the grain. So you're not gonna feel anxious and stressed. Yeah. And if you're not feeling anxiety and stress, then you're going to think more creatively, and then you're going to perform better. because
you want to.
Yeah, it's motivating and you're having fun. And like in sales, you might not think like, oh, you're not a graphic designer, you're not a DJ, right? Like that's creative. But no, like sales is even that. Like you're thinking creatively, you're solving problems
strategically too, and that's creative. Like strategy is creative.
Yeah.
You're solving people's problems. You're finding a way to make a deal come through, and you're thinking in that creative absence. So the more fun you're having with it, the less against the grain you're feeling. You're doing things that align with you personally. You're going to feel more motivated. You're going to feel more creative, and you're going to perform better. Yeah. And I just think that goes across anything. Like, just find what it is that you like and try to work in there. Like, that helps.
That PR role, by the way, how much were you making when you first started?
Oh my God, I was getting paid under the table, and it was like
the PR role. You're getting paid under the table.
It was like part-time work, man.
No way!
Oh my God.
I didn't know that.
I guess like that sounds cool, but like not when you're making like. I don't know.
No, I just didn't know it was under the table for that PR firm. That's
I don't. Well, now I'm on camera saying it.
A little bit on the hot seat.
Well, you're Mr. DJ here. So.
Yeah, it was. I was on the verge of. It's again fork in the road life moments. I was on the verge after being there for almost a year, and at that point, again, I realized it wasn't impacting like my DJ stuff, and I was also realizing like, okay, cool, I need to take on more. I want to keep doing more. And I simultaneously wasn't offered a full-time position and also realized that this place wasn't going to give me the growth because what was I going to do? Keep working in PR and then after a year get like a $7,000 raise, and then after a year, like, I don't know, move to a different role and get maybe like a $10,000, $15,000 raise. And at that point you're making like, oh, cool, I made it to $70,000. Like that's not going to cut it.
After 3 years, you'd be at $70,000 in PR.
Something like that, probably. Like back then, like this is like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
My starting salary when I was an SDR was $47,500. Wasn't even $50,000.
Yeah.
It's more than that now, I'm sure, for people. But like,
yeah. What about OTE though? So it's for SDR.
I think I made like $12,000 in commission in my first year as an SDR.
So basically, like SDR is just the groundwork.
Yeah, it's just the starting point.
Yeah.
I remember looking at my commission after that, and then starting to get like real commission checks when you enter a closing role, and you're like,
he quadrupled his. And how many in 3 years you quadrupled?
I mean, in 3 years. Definitely that.
Not including the side hustle. I'm talking about purely which we'll get to the side hustle stuff, but
yeah, because that's where when we're talking about like investing and doing things, you can get creative and have the luxury of that. Yeah. But what was really eye opening and to showcase, like again, you can grow, and at any point in your life, if you just set like that goal of what you want and you put in the plan to get there, and the short term and the medium goal and the long term goal, you can get there. Because I think I was like my third year, I got like an annual bonus, and that annual bonus was like, it was way more. It was more than like, it was more than my starting salary. It was more than like my senior SDR salary. Just my bonus that came through.
Wow. Yeah.
Like this is all like, you're gonna get taxed to shit on it.
Yeah, true.
That's what happens when you
okay.
live in New York. But yeah, it was a really eye-opening and like proud moment because it was like, okay, you did it in that 3 years. I've continued to grow since then, but like it was a bonus being more than what I would make in a year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which was pretty cool. So
I know a lot of people could come into this show and hear and BS that, but I know firsthand everything you're saying is actually true to exactly what happened.
Yeah,
which is cool to hear about for everyone else that you're listening to. Like, take my word for it. Like, what this guy's saying is actually what he did.
This is gonna turn into like it's gonna be like the motivational podcast.
Dude,
you can do it.
Just you can genuinely sitting here so inspired. I don't know why. It's just the vibe, your inspirational vibe.
Dialed. What did I tell you?
Really,
dialed.
Yeah,
in.
like I want to be more like that.
You tear it up a little bit.
I'm emotional today. I told Mike this before the podcast.
We're gonna motivate some folks even at this table. You don't need it. No, like, look, man. It's like we obviously like gravitated towards each other despite a difference in age because I felt like I have like a maturity, and my maturity comes from like f***ing up things in my life, like financially making poor decisions and not planning in advance and a bunch of mistakes, right? But I think wisdom comes with that to a certain extent, and it led me down. I have no regrets, as corny as that sounds too. But like, it put me down a path of financial responsibility and just responsibility and like what I want and understanding what's important to me.
Yeah.
And it was like this like catalyst for that change.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be cool if I was just like younger and like I was that go getter, but like I wasn't.
That also just sorry. No, it just goes to show you can do that at any time. Like whenever you're in that mindset to do it, you can literally just do that whenever it feels good or it feels comfortable to do it.
Yeah, you just got to kind of figure out what it is you want, and then you make a plan, and then from that plan, shrink that plan down more into like a medium goal, and then down into a micro one. Like, what are you trying to do this week? What are you trying to do this day? And it all kind of falls in, and then you're not so paralyzed by like, how do I get to this goal of being an AE or being an art director or, you know, whatever that goal is going to be, like a developer manager. Like, you got to start somewhere. Yeah. And if you break it down into these bite-sized goals, you won't feel paralyzed by the enormitude of like where you're trying to get. Yeah. So that was kind of the key to how I was able to turn it around.
That makes sense. I mean, you say turn it around, but for us, that's like the sickest lifestyle ever.
Yeah,
so
dude.
He lived in, I don't know if you know this, but he lived in Barcelona.
Oh, that's awesome.
As a DJ for a little bit out in Spain.
During the peak of like FC Barcelona with like Neymar and Messi and like a bunch of folks. So like saw some good soccer while I was there too.
Yeah. Sick. If you don't mind me asking, this might be a little bit personal, but like how much money were you making there per year as a DJ? And not in like euros, or what's the dollar there?
Yeah, the euro was great, man, because this was the recession. So again, timing in my life. All my friends were graduating college, and this is like 08, 09, and they couldn't get jobs. Like, I had friends who were taking temp jobs, working construction. You know, and they graduated like great schools because you could not get a job. You could not get hired.
Damn, that's crazy.
And I was taking a sabbatical from college, living in Barcelona, DJing like 5 nights a week on the beach.
Oh my God, that sounds...
like opening for like Tiesto and shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, he loves Tiesto.
So it was like I was making a good use of the opportunity and the time, and then I came back and graduated college.
But how much were they pay? How much are they, how much you're making per week? You think?
I could probably break down the numbers. I'll tell you this, which will probably shock you. I went to Barcelona with like whatever it was, like 20K in my bank account.
And 20K in your bank account?
Maybe. Like, I was DJing since I was like, DJing since I was like 17. You know, like,
that's a lot of money.
I was there. I was 21, and I had been DJing all around New York and like college parties and doing some events.
You were always a hustler.
Yeah. Which helps with the sales stuff, right?
Yeah.
But whatever I went to Barcelona with, I came back with that exact same amount. I didn't save. I was like living my best life.
How long are you there for?
2.5 years.
Okay.
I didn't save a dime. I was just being I was just living my best. Yeah, I was living my best life. Remember, like my roommate had like problems one time. I'm like, I'll cover your rent for these last few months, and then I was like, I'm going back home. Don't worry about it.
Tell me,
don't worry about it. But now whenever I go back to Barcelona, he hooks me up.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, and I didn't make anything. I mean, like, I made enough to. I didn't like do anything I didn't want to do. I was traveling.
Yeah.
I was in my early 20s. I was just traveling, DJing anywhere I went, trying to just eat and drink my way through every city I could get to. Like, I didn't put away a dime.
2.5 years.
I love that though. Like, if I want to be able to do that.
Like, self-sustain. It's kind of like digital world now, where you could have technically been living remotely and just exploring the world while not really saving money. You know what I mean? Because like, people can kind of do that now, but you did that as like a DJ.
Just sick.
Yeah, it was just funding. It was just funding what I wanted to do when I was 23 years old. Like, I wanted to go to the tomato fight, Tomatina, or I wanted to go running with the Bulls in Pamplona. And like,
did you ever DJ in Madrid?
No.
Oh. El Capital.
Yeah. Well, Barcelona and Madrid have a beef. It's like a long-standing history.
Are you talking about that 7-story club?
Yeah.
Madrid's sick. Madrid was...
Yeah. I played a bunch of spots and all over. Yeah. Sevilla, Ibiza, Antwerp, France.
Well, now even in New York, and going back to how much you're making now, 200 to 220K OTE, But then I know you also have that side hustle. Like, you're still playing today.
Yeah.
You play maybe once, maybe twice each weekend in New York City. Like, how much are you typically making in those regards, your side hustles today?
Yeah, so I only DJ on Friday and Saturday. It is not sustainable to play Thursday nights like I used to when I was not working.
Only? That's kind of a lot. That's kind of...
No, every single Friday and Saturday. I'm at a spot, thankfully, at this point where, like, if I'm not booked, it's basically because I asked for time off.
Wow.
And I'll get back to that in a moment.
This guy's a beast, by the way. I have funny stories in the DJ, but yeah, go for it.
So it because of that flexibility, it'll range between about 50 to 60K. That I'll pull DJing
over the year,
just in 1 year. Yeah.
Oh my!
That's a full salary though, too.
Yeah, it's more than I made when I was in SDR.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So when I was in SDR, I was still doing this, right? And I actually make more now DJing than I did then if I was only doing Friday, Saturday. Because so many of the skills I have from sales have transferred over. So I'm more professional and I'm negotiating better and I'm getting better rates and I'm getting booked more. It's just all of that. Yeah. It really is a transferable skill set. But I always had this flexibility when I was only the SDR of why I wanted to work and what motivated me. Because truly what motivated me wasn't closing like that extra 10K in commission. It was crushing my targets, performing better than everybody so I could be the first to be promoted. Because my end goal was always
I like that too.
And I had that in my back pocket of never really being motivated by that money because it was kind of nothing to me. Like, 10K is great but I was still making more DJing than I was as an SDR for my entire time as an SDR.
Wow.
Right? So it gave me this power, this flexibility of like what was really pushing me to keep going and accelerate my career, which was that. So
do you ever feel burnout from that though, of work? I mean, 60K, by the way, first off, that's sick. On top of the 220K you're making, but do you ever feel burnout from that or no? Like, because you look like you're having a good time, but I can't tell if it's tiring.
I don't sleep as much as probably I should. I work really hard, but I really, really love DJing.
Yeah.
So I don't get burnt out from that. If I get burnt out, it's from a lack of hanging out with like my family or my friends or my fiance. And at that point, it's cool because I have that flexibility to take a step back and take a breath.
Yeah. When
I used to only DJ and I wanted to travel to go on a vacation with people, I'm not DJing that weekend. So you're paying for vacation, plus then you're out, $1.5 grand, whatever it is that you're making that weekend.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like
opportunity cost every weekend.
Exactly. So that you can see how that can kind of and that can kind of grind on you when you're choosing between hanging out with your friends for a bachelor party and working.
Yeah.
And so having where I'm at now, I don't really feel burnt out. I've honestly never this flexibility and freedom that I have financially and in terms of choosing when I want to work has just made me feel like I've never been happier. Well, except for when I was in Barcelona.
Well, actually, yeah, there was that one time.
Except for when I was 22, living in Barcelona, DJing on the beach, not without a care in the world.
Opening up for Tiesto.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like my favorite now.
But since then, I don't. Yeah, you have to be mindful of that burnout because it can happen.
It's about to get in the shit right here. About to grill you on some stuff. Starting off with post.
So calm and collected though when he said that.
We about to get in the. So post tax, how much are you typically making per paycheck? I'm guessing like bi-monthly.
Yeah, I could just tell you by month. I'll pull in about $52,500 to $5,300 for my day job post tax per month, and then about $3,000 to $4,000 from the side hustle DJing.
Got you. So with that, around close to like 9K, in between 9 to 10K, how are you budgeting that when it comes to like how much are you paying for rent, utilities?
Yeah, I keep a tight ship with like my utilities and subscriptions and all that stuff. Yeah, shout out to everyone who's sharing, taking my HBO and I'm using your Netflix and so on.
We'll drop information below.
So between the two jobs, I've got a steady stream of cash flow coming in, and I try to keep my expenses pretty minimal. I mean, I rent in the Upper East Side. It's we have a great deal. We pay $3,075 for a 2-bedroom that I split with my partner.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
2-bedroom too?
For 3, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I work from home, so one of those is basically the office, and it's my fiance, so we're sharing that, so we split those expenses.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to not be spending that much, and your recurring expenses will just include like the YouTube TV, cut the cord on that, so the spectrum for the internet and all that stuff. So relatively minimal, probably like $150 between those two. Again, we split that. Con Ed split that. So
how's the paycheck broken down then, including your side hustle? Like, how much are you then putting into savings? How much are you putting to investing? Or do you do that on a per month basis or not?
It's an excellent question. So when I was catching up to the 401k stuff, because again, I didn't have one until that was part of the motivation for getting all this stuff sorted out. I maxed it out immediately. Would not do that again. Am not doing that anymore. So you basically max out my 401k. Did that in all one lump sum when I was getting started, but now it's just dollar cost averaging. So I basically, the cap this year was 20.5. My company will match up to 8K or something like that. I forget what they do.
That's pretty good.
So basically max that out if you're able to do it. I am. I'm also maxing out to take advantage of what my company will match, because that's just free money. So always take advantage of the company match. Additionally, beyond that, when we're thinking about tax benefits, the next thing I'll do is max out my IRA. So that was 6K for this year. I'll go up to 6.5 next year. 401k goes up to 22.5 next year. So I'll just up what I'm dollar cost averaging.
Yeah.
So all of that is always a must. Beyond that, I'll take I have a growth fund that I'm doing with a financial advisor, and I'll dollar cost average 1.5K into that every month. So
nice.
when I realized I was doing this with my day job and then having the cash flow from the DJing, you can be smart about it. Like, I can be cavalier with my spending and take trips and do things I want to do and buy skis. But I'm always thinking like, okay, this is money I'm not seeing. Like that $1.5 grand that is going into like my growth fund, like I don't see that. That's coming out. Same thing with my 401k. I don't this is not money that like even touches my bank account into my checking.
Yeah.
If the market wasn't shit, I would be throwing more aggressively into that.
Yeah.
But looking how markets are performing and how unknown everything is.
Yeah.
At some point, probably within 2-3 years, I'm going to buy a house. So I'd rather keep some cash on me I'm holding more cash than I normally would.
That makes sense. What, just to clarify here, so a lot of the money that you're investing in, like 401k, for instance, that's pre-tax.
Yes.
So from those paychecks, $1,500 is going to a growth fund. You mentioned the IRA. How much are you putting in there?
I max that out.
And how much is that typically? Or you just max it out right off the get-go, and then you don't have like a monthly.
I'll max that out off the get-go. So looking at next year, I'll meet with my financial advisor quarterly. It's a good time because it aligns with my bonuses, and I know exactly where I land.
Yeah.
And with something like that, I mean, your 401k, next year it got raised to 22.5 as the max contribution.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna jump and do that all at once.
Yeah.
But for something like the IRA, 6.5K, we'll probably try to find an opportune moment to do that. Who knows with this market though?
Like how much do you try to hold in your savings? How much you want to buy a house too? If you didn't want to buy a house, 2 scenarios. If you didn't want to buy a house, how much would you keep in savings? With you wanting to buy a house, how much does that mean you have to keep in savings?
Yeah, I'm mindful of like being conservative as we get closer to that point with everything like in that growth fund of keeping it conservative. In my bank account now, and all that's liquid. Like I can pull that out within like 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Within my bank account now, I like to sit with like 40K in there. That's probably more. I think they say like six months worth of
rent and rainy day fund and whatnot.
6 months worth, like in case something, God forbid, happens, you lose your job, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that with that, I'm buying, like sanity, and you can't really put a price on that.
Yeah.
So like, I would probably keep more in there than I should, but I like that. Like, I'd rather have that flexibility and like, you buy an engagement ring, that's going to dip. You want to wait for your next like big commission check to come through to even things out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think whatever you feel comfortable with. I think I don't need any more than that. And again, if the markets weren't so volatile, I'd probably be more aggressive in what I would do with that. But for right now, with where I'm at, that's kind of what I'm holding.
Yeah, I used to be like that, same amount as well. But then when the market was going down a lot, I just kept on buying on the dip. So my savings a little bit lower.
And do you use a financial advisor for that, or a financial planner, or you just go in?
I use a bunch of stuff. Like I have a fund that I invest in. That's a separate fund. It's kind of like a growth fund that you mentioned. I have a lot of money in just like my own personal stock, like my personal investing. I usually tend to stick with ETFs unless I really like a company. Or I also invest in a robot real estate kind of advisor. So I don't know if you heard of Fundrise.
No.
It's pretty much you just put money into the app and you get.
Is this a free ad?
It could be. Like I like Fundrise personally. I don't even know if the whatchamacallit. I don't know how they're doing as a company. I just know they've been around for a little bit and they have good funding, but they make pretty good returns. Like last year, they didn't beat the stock market, but they still gave me like 18% in returns.
Damn.
This year they're not doing as great. It's like 4.7%.
You're 4.7 up.
Up. Yeah.
When like everything else in the market is down 18, like basically.
That's also true.
What is this black magic?
But yeah,
check my 401k today. It's down like 19.4 on the year.
Bro, my 401k is down 30%. My 401k is a robo-advisor. It's human interest, and I'm going to call you out.
Oh, my God.
It's down 30%.
That's
what?
It's doing
way more than it should. Yeah. We should talk about what.
There should be some bonds in there, too.
We should be talking about. You should be able to pick what's in there. Like, I have my advisor telling me like what I'm putting in there.
That's why I don't like the 401k. I thought about moving it to Fidelity, like back to my brokerage account that I use, but I didn't feel like going through the hassle of doing that, so I left it in there. But now that we're talking about it, I'm like heavily considering moving it out of there.
So when I was like sending you like my bank statements and all this, I was looking through it and I was like, I'm really glad I'm going on the pod because this is like, I usually do this around tax season. This is a great way for me just like to take stock like almost through the year of like, where am I at? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm spending a lot more than I was last year. All right, it's cool. I'm making more too, and I'm having fun and I'm being smart. But it's good to like check yourself and be like, ooh, I got to adjust.
See, because to me, that's not even, as far as I'm concerned, that to me, that's not even real money what I have in there because I can't access it for so long. So
well, it's supposed to be working for you, so it's very much real money.
I know. I'm working for it right now.
Damn.
But that brings us to a good point. The bank statement, what Mr. DJ over here was able to do before this show was able to give us his expenses of what he spent in the past month. So give me and Ron's a look into what Mr. DJ is spending.
So total expenses for the past month was $9,313.77.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. When I first saw that, I was like, I gotta do something differently.
Yeah,
myself.
That's pretty much the whole paycheck.
Yeah. Well,
Big month.
Well, am I defending myself, or do you want to just keep going?
I mean, there are some there are some reasons that we've picked up why, so
right,
we'll get into
let's go through those first before you defend.
Yeah. So the biggest reason why was Verbo. It was $5,603.69.
Yeah, give me those points.
Yeah.
If I'm going on a ski trip with the homies, I will happily front the money on that. Like if we're going out somewhere and like someone wants to pick up the bill, that is free money.
Give me in a mansion.
It's a ski trip. It's a ski trip.
Like a cabin lodge?
Might be going to Breck.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you want me to be on the hook for a couple of trips and then put the spreadsheet together and everyone kind of splits the end, I'm happy to front the cost because get those double points you get with Chase Sapphire.
So majority of that's not real. Like how much are you actually?
That's not like a real expense. Like it's gonna I have to pay for it, but like in a few months the trip's gonna happen and everyone's gonna like put the money in and I get that money back.
How much are you actually paying for that? Like what's your share of that?
Of that $6K for the trip.
Yeah.
Probably like one grand.
$1K
for like the weekend of like.
That's
So you're like a 4.5K ish.
Yeah, and like that's like a vacation.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to like go skiing for a weekend.
Yeah.
So
4.5K on expenses still a little bit sizable.
It's sizable, but it makes more sense given everything that we've.
Yeah, you still have a ton of like saving, investing, having fun kind of money. From the 9K plus of the total expenses, what are some of the things that
So like groceries.
Travel. Yeah. What does that look like?
Yeah, groceries was $400.77. Nope, it wasn't. It was $477.18. Sorry.
You only get one of these.
sorry. I'll do it again. So groceries is $400. Oh my God! Now.
$477.
Let me try it one more time. Yeah, $477.
Look, I know the numbers in the bank account are so intimidating. It's hard. It's not.
Well, I did. I had to have said it.
But for the groceries, do you spend? That's a pretty sizable amount,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I cook a lot.
Oh, you cook a lot?
Nice.
Yeah.
And is it for 2 people or mostly for...
Oh, that's a good point, too. Yeah. A lot of it.
Question. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, she doesn't... I don't get paid back for that. That's just buying for the house.
Oh, so she's saving on costs for you because you're buying the groceries.
Yeah, I mean, she'll cook a good amount, too. And
nice. I get someone like ladies.
I get to eat.
Sweet.
No, don't find them. I'm taking.
Find someone like Mr. Teach. I'm gonna have to cut your name off so many times on this fucking this show.
No, don't tell the ladies who listen to this podcast to find me because.
No, he said someone like. Yeah. Don't worry. He's keeping you safe.
Yes. Yeah. I guess that's. I mean, that's not that. What's that? That's like $100 a week or something like that. I mean. Okay, what are you like? If you're working in the office or if you're going out for lunch and you're buying your, no free ads, but insert your fast casual salad spot right here that sells you a bowl for $17.
Yeah, sounds like Sweet Green, but.
And if you do that 5 days a week for your lunch or your dinner, like pick one or both, like what are you spending doing that?
That's
like,
$100.
Yeah. Right, and then
are you buying groceries to save money, or are you just doing it because you like cooking with your fiance?
Oh, I'm doing it because it's the most cost effective and healthiest way to eat.
Nice. That's a health factor too.
Yeah, it's just it's fast, it's efficient. I know it tastes good, and it's also like the highest quality version. Like I'm not going to be eating some seed oil in a dressing for something. Yeah. Like I'm making it, it's mine.
So you know what's in it.
Exactly, and the health part of it's really important to me too. So I eat super clean, and it's like.
I don't know if the fans. I mean, he's pretty cut. I don't know if the fans could
touch my shoulder again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find a man like this.
Yeah. So how does that compare to everyone else who comes on here?
Like 100.
It's way higher.
It's triple.
Because people usually just like order because they're lazy or get HelloFresh, and we found out HelloFresh is like $18 a meal. So it's actually not that cheap.
Yeah. None of that stuff is like,
and it's not even every day. Like HelloFresh, you could get the everyday subscription, but that's a lot more money than what our past guest was getting to.
Like
kind of a lot.
It's a lot.
And HelloFresh, are you still cooking the food, or is it like all?
You're cooking it, but it gives you the portions it gives you all the ingredients.
Have these people heard of like apps for like
I think,
recipes?
Well, maybe it could be a true thing that HelloFresh's business model has been diminishing because of stuff like Amazon Fresh and Instacart. It could be true because they had a horrible renewal rate, just from what I've heard from inside sources. It was at like around 6%. I don't know if that's still true. They're not a publicly traded company, right? I could be given this information.
I'm not
Wait a minute. 6% of the people who sign up for HelloFresh renew a subscription.
That's what I heard.
Oh, what?
I heard from inside sources that I trust heavily.
I'll look that up in a second, but also I think HelloFresh is more about the convenience and about how you're going to, like, about waste. Because I'm not going to buy a bag of green beans. So if I don't use HelloFresh, but
really
the bag of green beans is going to go bad by the end of the week because I'm only going to use like this much of it.
And so it's good food that you're making. So it's what Ron said, 100% true, and the good food you're making. But they probably won't have it online just because private companies don't like to give. Unless they're public, I'm not sure.
And the simplicity of, this is the recipe. You don't have to go online and figure it out.
Yeah,
I could see that.
But you're saving it. I mean, compared to the people that we have, you're saying, well, how much is he spending on food and drinks?
Oh, no.
Food. That would be. Let me just think about this one before I mess up.
It's gonna be
$1,146.31.
Oh, okay. So you're still spending a good amount on.
I like
food and drinks.
I like to enjoy a good restaurant and a good drink.
So you like to do both. Honestly, great.
What's the point of working so hard if you can't enjoy
Exactly.
that?
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
How if we had more money, we'd just charter ourselves a jet and stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of money would be great.
You have a nicer recording studio as well.
You don't like my place?
Look, I'm just saying. Well, you know what? Look, it took Joe Rogan how many episodes until he redid his studio? Like 1,000.
Yeah.
So
500 or something.
What episode number is this?
7.
This is
Lucky 7.
Okay, so only 493 more to go.
Perfect.
There you go. No, look. There's nothing worse than being broke in New York. I think on your previous podcast you were talking about what the poverty line is in New York, and that's just like a hot take. But like, if you're going full circle on the conversation, like living in New York on like an SDR salary, if I didn't have a side hustle as a DJ, would have been brutal. Right,
and that's about $60K a year. You're saying living in New York, like
yeah. I mean, like brutal is a rough way to put it, but like even when I was doing just DJing, it gave me a lot of perspective because it's also very up and down. It's really inconsistent, and that can get very stressful. Yeah. So when there are slow times, you have to scale back on what you're spending, and you don't want to, or and it's especially in a place like New York where you just have so much opportunity and stuff to do, and it's not cheap. So I like to eat out on the weekends. That's a long way of saying that.
If you think about it, so if you're actually spending around, how much should we say you're actually spending a month? Spent this month like 4.5K.
Yeah.
Then food took up a quarter of your expenses, basically food and drinks, which means that, I mean, it's not like you have the budget for it, is what I'm saying. You still had 5K left over from the money you're making to go to like savings, investing. So
right.
I mean, that's actually a small amount compared to like what other New Yorkers that we've talked to. They're spending like 75% of their paycheck on food and drinks.
Yeah, I mean,
also me.
Yeah, I look again. I lived in Barcelona for a number of years and didn't save a dime. It all went to that, right? So you kind of have to prioritize and figure out what's important. And I think you get as your career grows, you can put away a little bit more, and you want to enjoy what you're doing as well. I try though to keep that credit card statement, which is like truly like almost all of my expenses, to like 3K. I feel like if I did that, that's a win.
Yeah.
So you're saying I landed at 4.5, like when we take the Verbo out, like I could do better.
But it sounds like you have a standard deviation of around $1,500 from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It's like $4,500. You could do better, but you're not too upset about it.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not like surprised.
Like plus minus 1,500, then you'll take it. Like you have flexibility.
Yeah, if we look in there with like the monthly of where it's at, there's going to be months where I'm like 2.5, right? And like I probably just didn't do shit but DJ that month, or like and work my day job.
That's funny that you mentioned that because even from like traveling back and forth to the club, because usually you're probably leaving really late night. We saw something pretty interesting with your expenses on travel.
We did. So you started off with a lot of taxis, then, as Mike quoted, went on an Uber binge, and then back to taxis.
What happened there?
Yeah, I could tell you exactly. Anytime I go to DJ on a Friday or Saturday night, I usually have to be at the club by like 10:30 or 11. I will always take the subway. I will take that $2.75. If I'm late leaving my apartment and I have to spend $25 from the Upper East Side to like wherever I'm going, I'm kicking myself the entire ride. I am so pissed at myself for throwing away $25 because I know it could have been solved by like drinking a smoothie earlier and getting in the shower sooner and getting my ass out the door on time.
Do you already deduct that from the paycheck you're about to make, like mentally?
No. But I beat myself up emotionally about it to the point where like it's like negative reinforcement to not do it again.
Oh God!
All right. So back in the day, I would like pre-pandemic. I would like at 4 a.m. I get done at these clubs. 4 a.m. I come back home. I would take the subway back home. I was not financially as well off. Like I was like struggling a little bit at times.
Yeah.
So I needed to, I was like out of necessity. Like I couldn't be spending $50 a night on Uber. Now if I do, it's just like I'm pissed. So, but now it's also like it's a safety thing where like I don't need to be riding the subway home at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like it's just not the same.
Yeah.
I used to do it all the time. So, and it's easier because on the ride home uptown, 4 a.m. streets are empty. It's like a $17 yellow cab. So I always take the yellow cab. In New York, pro tip, in Manhattan, if you're on the island of Manhattan, take that yellow cab. It is going to be so much cheaper than taking any sort of ride share.
We've been doing that a lot recently.
Yeah. Yellow cabs are where it's at. And plus, you feel like a New Yorker, like flag a yellow cab. Like,
stick your hand out and just get it.
Yeah, do that. If you're going like to the boroughs, if you're coming like through Brooklyn, Manhattan, anything like that, either way, then take your ride share.
It's crazy how they know exactly where to go to. I'll just pop in an Uber and be like, "Oh, I'm going to 770 Broadway." They don't even look at GPS. They're like,
it is a grid. Right. Like they've been doing it for quite a bit. Most of them.
That's true, but I'm just saying it's like crazy how they know exactly where to go. Even like when I go back home in Williamsburg, it's just like they know exactly where to go. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's always my thing. So what you're seeing on the expenses, if there's a lot of Ubers and Lyfts all in a row, probably means I was taking a trip to like Missy to eat like some good food, or I was like traveling somewhere back and forth. Because if I am traveling with
your food, eat a little fun, flirty side.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, don't worry, I'll treat you to this Uber ride on me, this luxurious Toyota Camry.
I gotta go to Missy. By the way, you're the one that was telling me.
It's
an Italian joint.
Oh, yum.
From the founders of Lilia.
Oh, Lilia,
Missy Robbins, best-selling author.
One of my. She's my manager, I guess, or she used to be. That's her favorite restaurant, Lilia's.
I thought you meant Missy Robbins.
Oh, no. Wait, is it Lilia?
Lilia.
Or Lilia? Yeah, that's what she was talking about.
I think I'm in the minority where I think Missy is my preferred out of the two. I've never been
to either.
But
I haven't been either.
Yeah, so that's probably on there. And when you're looking at also like combining that Uber with the trip out to eat a meal like that, it can, that stuff can add up. But we like to enjoy ourselves on the weekends. We're not really doing that
date
like
night.
Exactly.
I mean, you did have a couple of big meals back to back. What were those two ginormous big meals back to back rounds that you saw? Well, one of them was definitely Cote. What was the other one?
Oh, it was Roberto's and Cote. Yeah. But for a total of $726.80.
Wait, what was the total, sorry?
$726.80.
And they're like kind of like back to... I love Cote, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Favorite steakhouse in New York.
Michelin star, Korean steakhouse.
Yeah.
What's Roberto's? What is that? You spent like $500 there.
So these are likely meals where it's, again, I'm picking up the bill. And then you're splitting it out like in the Venmo wash. Like, again, I like to do this because give me those Chase Sapphire points. If you're not on a card that's giving you points for like, get a credit card that gives you points where you spend the most of your money.
With the credit cards that you're saying, how many credit cards do you even have today? How many credit cards do you own?
I only use one. I have others. They're just not like in use. I opened up a lot of credit cards, like not a lot, but I opened up a couple of credit cards back in the day to like build credit score. But now, just for simplicity's sake, and because I'm just like streamlining where I'm getting my points, I just use my Chase Sapphire. Mm-hmm. I have like a Bloomingdale's card because, again, like points out the ass when you shop there and you use that. But like I pay it all off immediately. Like I pay off all that stuff. So I have like another credit card I used to use back in the day when I was paying off like back taxes and I needed 0% APR, and I basically financed taxes myself because the government doesn't let you finance. They just hit you with bad interest, like really, really bad.
So if I'm hearing that correctly, what you did is you took some credit from one credit card, transferred it to 0 APR. Another 0 APR credit card. So
essentially,
you would pay interest.
Exactly that. That was like the theory behind it. If you get yourself like in debt, trying to figure out that. Problem was my debt wasn't like spending money and not paying off my credit card and moving it to another one. It was just like thinking taxes were optional for a minute there in my 20s. They're not. They're not. So Chase Sapphire is the only one where you're actually paying a yearly fee, I'm guessing. The other ones are so I'm a big believer in grabbing a credit card that aligns with your spending habits just to maximize the return on that. So the Sapphire has really great value on travel and on food and drink. So if you look at my report, as you're very eloquently pointing out, I spend money on too much. It's travel. It's like it'll cover like the subway. It'll cover your Ubers. It'll cover my taxis. And where am I going? I'm going to go DJ at places or going out to go out with to a restaurant or something like that. So and what am I spending money on when I go to these places? It's on food or entertainment, right? So having a card that rewards me for that, I'm always happy to cover the cost of a Verbo. knowing my friends will pay me back for it, or going to Coat and picking up like a $500 tab. Yeah, people are gonna Venmo me back for it. Like, give me the points on it.
It's ironic that having all those other credit cards gives you higher credit limit, which then allows you to expense these bigger things all in one credit card because they'll give you a higher limit.
Yeah,
because you have a better credit score. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny how like all that works.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're incentivized to make people spend money and
to spend more and more and more.
Yeah, so and a lot of times like you're gonna fuck up and not pay your stuff on time.
Yeah,
right. And then they're like, cool, interest.
Yeah, we love that.
Pay us more, right?
We say it all the time. Credit card debt is the highest form of interest payments. Okay, so we have a segment that we really like that we call financial fetish. And you can really think about it as a life hack, something that you do that saves you money, but is kind of weird.
And that maybe other people don't do, but like you find pleasure out of it, which is where the fetish part comes in.
You can't forget the pleasure.
So something it saves me money that other people don't do.
Typically do. It's
or
like
may
weird
not.
To you. It's it's.
Oh my gosh.
Like a personal thing that others might find weird. Or it might not have to be weird.
Yeah,
but
just maybe niche.
Yeah.
It might not even have to be that much money saved.
I like to, I guess it's maybe part of like the DJ stuff in that culture. Like I like nice clothes and always like looking fresh. It's always like kind of part of it too. You gotta like look the part. So like I'm a big, like I basically like just like shop at like Bloomingdale's, and it's not even like that, you can go crazier than that. But I'm a big believer. It's like everything's gotta be on sale. Like I got my designers that I like, it's gotta be on a sale. And more than that, I gotta attack at the right time when Bloomingdale's is giving me the most like rewards. So when they're stacking like a good sale with rewards on using their credit card and like loyalist triple point days and all that stuff, I need to be in the mindset of like, they're paying me right now, you know? So like when I get to the checkout and I have all that stuff in the brown digital bag and I look at it and I see how much like I'm getting taken off of this, and I know I'm maximizing and striking at the right time. Like it's a dangerous game because you want can like be out of your size, and then you're kicking yourself.
Now for buying online, once you said digital bag, I realized I thought it was like all in person experience.
Me too.
Oh, that's okay.
Like
here's
running around the store.
Can I get? Can I? So that's the ones like knowing when to strike on the sales, and keeping an eye on that because like. Yeah, that's just how you can get nicer stuff.
You get push notifications when they.
I get the emails. So like I unsubscribe from like everything, all the clutter in my inbox except for like Bloomingdale's. So like,
for me, like
they hit me too much, but I
need
to know.
Crazy savings, all that stuff. How much are you typically saving on the perfect moment when you hit the trifecta of everything you just said?
Yeah.
How much % off are you typically saving?
I mean, you can get like 30% when you cross over like a certain threshold, like more than $400 or $500. They'll give you 30% off whatever that stuff is in the back, and then you're combining it with like every 100 you spend, you get 25 back.
Oh.
So and that comes in a gift card. So the 30% will come off what you're doing.
Do we get a Bloomingdale's card?
Yeah,
so the 30% will come off what you're doing, and it's kind of, I mean, that's how they hook you, right? Like, then you're like, okay, then like 2 weeks later, I just got a $125 gift card. Cool. I'm going to use that next time I spend here.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
Bloomingdale's. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Where's there one in New York? Is it
59th and Lex.
I was about to say it's more of like Midtown.
So that's my. Can I do a part 2 to my this fetish?
Yeah.
I know like the brands I like and I've tried them on, so you know your sizing and stuff. But I just have everything shipped to my apartment, and if I'm curious, like I don't know how I'm going to fit in this one, I order 2 sizes. I order like my off the rack one, and then I order a size up because I'm going to return it. I could just scoot down to Bloomingdale's, and like you could probably like return this for those who like don't live in New York or buy a Bloomingdale's. You could probably just return it through like the mail. Yeah. I'll just go to the Bloomingdale's store, return them whatever I don't want, and then you get your money back.
I think that's good for if it's an expensive item because like you definitely want to make sure it fits right. Mm-hmm. But if I buy something cheap from like Zara or ASOS, the effort to return it.
Oh yeah, you're stuck with that for life.
Yeah. But for you, that makes total sense. Yeah. Like I actually now that I'm thinking about it, will definitely do that when it comes to like expensive stuff.
It's the move. Yeah. If you're not sure, just get one. And what's the big
girl stuff? Are usually expensive. Do you do that? Do you buy 2 of it?
If I'm at like Zara or something, which is mostly where I shop, or there's a shop I like online, so sometimes I'll order 2, but then I don't send things back. If it's super expensive, I would send it back, but I'm never really buying anything that's super expensive.
If you buy something and it doesn't fit you, you're just not sending it back.
This is what I do. I sometimes buy a lot of stuff, especially during COVID when they didn't have dressing rooms anymore. I would bring it home and try it on. If it didn't fit, I'd put it in my bag next to my door and be like, okay, today I'm going to return it. I never do that. So I then give them to my friends that I know it would fit. And then I won't normally sell it to them, but like if they want to give me like $10 for it, even though it wasn't $10, like I won't take it. I'll just be like, just buy my drink or something. Yeah. But I it's so hard to return things. Yeah. It's so hard to return. It
sounds like
things.
Price is like a big factor.
Yeah.
But compounded over time, you could be losing like hundreds.
I have. Yeah. It's not good. It's not a good habit.
That's a good. That was a pretty good one actually. It's makes me feel like shit for what I have in my closet right now too.
No, I'll return it all. It's so convenient. I mean, like it's 59th and Lex. It's on my way like anywhere I go. I'll just pop into Bloomingdale's.
So
and you know what? Then you're there, and then you just end up buying more shit.
Exactly. Because then you get that money back, and you're like, now I can actually buy something that fits me.
Yeah, that's how they get you. But with all the financial stuff that we talked about today, and moving more towards future goals. I know you're goal heavy here. That's why I think it'd be really cool to hear. First, like, where do you want to be financially in the future? Maybe starting off with that question.
I want to retire by 59 and a half.
59 and a half, right? Yeah. When the 401k, does 401k hit that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, if I wasn't going to have a kid, that'd be like pretty easy.
What does retirement look like for you? What does like success look like to you as far as money, financially?
I want to, if I'm going to have, a family, putting, if I have to pay for college, then who knows? Yeah. But like, affording the same things that I had as a benefit to get me here and luxuries. So paying for my kids' college, that stuff, having like, a home that they can enjoy. That's not going to be in New York City because I'm not balling like that. But proximity to New York because I love it here and I want to be relatively close and have that. So, proximity to New York, but having space. I was fortunate to have a really nice childhood and good schools. So wherever that's going to be, that's kind of what success looks like to me. It's a big motivator for like why I wanted to get myself going on the right track and down a path where I could make money, live my life the way I'm doing, and have fun, but also with the mindset of like I'm doing this with a purpose of putting this away so I have support for anyone that's going to come along and be around me in my life.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a specific amount of money; it's more of a lifestyle.
It's like whatever it's going to take to get there, and it's only going to get more expensive from here, right? If we're looking at inflation or mortgage prices and interest rates, right? So it's more of kind of like of where I want to get, and it's not based on like material stuff. It's like I'm talking about like a house, but it's like also like placement in that school district, right? Again, like education for these people. Like I want to provide for like a family. It's like it's important to me because it was important to my parents, and they came here from the Soviet Union, and it was to provide for me who wasn't born yet. So it's like a responsibility to that, which is like.
How do you plan on getting there? By the way, what are you going to do to get there?
Keep hitting these sales targets. Like I found my career. I know that's what it is. I know the future is not DJing, the side hustle, right? Which is crazy because that always was the goal. But like it's not sustainable. You do it for long enough, you start having questions on like shit. This paying for your own health insurance stuff. Like what's that going to look like when you have kids and things, right? So
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's like per person like $700 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fluctuates a lot, but it's like.
And that's if you want good care, and then you start going to healthcare, and if you start skimping on that, you're seeing doctors you don't want to be seeing and things, and you're like you start asking yourself some really complicated questions that are uncomfortable answers for what you want in your life and what you want to provide for people. And not everybody wants that. Like I just know that that's what I'm gonna want, and I have to figure out how to get there. So, thankfully, that pivot, I'm in a spot where I have working in tech sales is incredibly flexible. It provides a lot of growth opportunity. I'm not tied down to one specific place. I have a lot of pivot points and experience I can point to and building a network. So I think if I just stay that course and as long as I stay motivated, it'll get me where I want to go. Yeah. I know kind of that distance of where I want to go. I have goals for the next year of, my next promotion and what that's going to look like. And you have the steps that get you there of hitting a target and so on.
I was asking for the promotion. I know some reps that never become managers because they don't want to.
Yeah.
Because they're just making a lot of money. Are you trying to become a manager or move more into like enterprise rep? Like, what are you?
Yeah, I'm already selling enterprise, which is where you got to be. But right now, in my current state, I'm not interested in managing people one bit.
Yeah.
It's just, I believe I would need more experience and time doing what I'm doing right now. And I also just don't think I'm in a place like as a communicator and emotionally where I can handle working with other people and helping them through that. Yeah. So I think where I'm best served right now is continuing as like an individual contributor.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll do in the future, but
as for now.
Yeah.
I mean, things are always changing. Things are fluctuating. And at least like other people get to hear too. I think a lot of people have not unrealistic goals, but sometimes they have certain goals where they set it and they don't really know how they're going to get there. So it's good to hear perspective of like how people are thinking about their goals and how they plan to attack it, just so they could start to understand
and what
themselves.
works for them personally.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Oh.
There's a difference between a goal and a dream.
Yeah.
Someone's got to have said that. I don't know. Did I make that up?
Martin Luther King?
No.
I'll look it up.
Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
I like quoting like random people after I say a statement.
Yeah.
I would believe you, though. So that
you don't always have to return all of your clothes. That is a dream if you can.
Mr. DJ.
But you could set the goal of returning maybe just some of them and start small.
I love that.
I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Full circle here. Well, Mr. DJ, really appreciate you hopping on the show. It's not easy coming in here, being very vulnerable, sharing your expenses with us, but appreciate you nonetheless. And for everyone else tuning in, thank you so much for watching. We have our episodes now coming every other week, so it's bi-weekly, and you can tune in on Wednesdays to catch our shows. But with that, if Ronz, you wanna take us out?
I was gonna say what you just said. We will see you every other week now.
Every other Wednesday.